So welcome to Vietnam. So I've been living here for over 9 years, experienced everything from the differences between the U.S. and the Vietnam culture. So if you're an entrepreneur or an American that's looking to move to Vietnam, I want to share with you the 6 main cultural differences that I have experienced personally and to give my personal anecdote and how you can overcome it. So that's what we're going to talk today, and let's get started. So welcome to the Independence Palace right here in District 1, Ho Chi Minh City. This is where the former president of Vietnam lived as well. So my name is Duong with over 40 years of experience helping individuals get citizenships all over the world, including the United States, Grenada, Portugal, and many other countries. But today, I want to let you know about life in Vietnam. But before I get started on this topic, make sure that you like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment below what you want to hear, and make sure you click on the bell for notifications. So education is a big difference between the U.S. and Vietnam. Vietnam, like many of the other Asian countries like Japan, Korea, China, are very emphasized on education because the general belief is that education is a way for you to have economic advancement, higher level of understanding, and get out of your many social and economic situations. And that's why parents are emphasizing education. And it shows in the records that Asia are one of the best performing countries in the world. And if you want to learn more about the Vietnamese education system, click on the video that we made on your right-hand corner about the education system. Another cultural emphasis in Vietnamese families is to send their kids to the United States to study. And they use F1 visas, or another area is using the EB-5 investor visa programs. This allows you to invest an X amount of money in the US and get citizenship, and you can go to school. Your kids can go to school as well and work and live in the United States. So we've helped a lot of families achieve EB-5 throughout 14 to 15 years of business. If you are a European family or Vietnamese family watching this video, then definitely you can contact our immigration attorneys to help you find the best path in order to do the EB-5 or other investment programs for your kids to go to school. So private education in Vietnam is quite costly, so families could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for their kids to study at private schools in Vietnam. Then they would send their students to the United States because they still believe that the U.S. education, especially higher education, is one of the top and best in the world. So they would send their students there. And if you have a U.S. bachelor's degree or a master's degree, that's highly sought after in Vietnam market for multinational corporations, large private Vietnamese companies as well, or publicly traded companies. So that's why the U.S. education is one of the biggest ways that the Vietnamese push their kids to study. Let's talk about the generation boomerang. These are the children who stay with their parents for an extended period of time after 18 years old. So in the Vietnamese culture, it's extremely common for children to stay with their parents into their later years of life. And if it's the oldest child is expected to live with their parents, or their parents live with them into their old age, into retirement, and also possibly until their deaths at the end of their lives. That is extremely common because Vietnamese culture values the family unit and the family staying together. Also, a child that's even married with children will stay with their parents because they can save money and build up reserves in order to buy their own house, buy their own car, or other assets as well. This is in contrast to the United States, whereby children at the age of 18 are expected to leave their house, go live on their own, be self-reliant and independent. Children who stay longer with their parents are actually frowned upon as being insufficient or non-independent or taking care of themselves. That is the US versus Vietnam. However, in Vietnam's modern society, children are actually staying longer with their parents as the old generation, but many of the young people now who have financial freedom or have their own mindset to go on their own right after university. It may not be as early as the US at 18, but after university, they'll get their own apartments, they'll live on their own, and they'll make their own money, and they become more independent than they used to. So those are the main differences for the generation boomer boomerang between the United States and Vietnam, but they're starting to look more alike. Another difference is asking your age first. So in Vietnam, it's extremely common when somebody first meets you to ask for your age right away, where that's not true in the United States. It could be impolite to do so. But in Vietnam, in order to know if to call you brother, sister, uncle, or other references, they need to know your age. And another difference in Vietnam is they won't ask you your age, but they'll ask you what year you were born. So instead of saying 42, I will say 1981. And that's why they'll do their own math in their heads. And that's one of the myths why Asians are very good at math, because they calculate very quickly. Also, it's actually to know what your sign is, your zodiac sign, so they can see if you match or not in business or in friendship or even in partnerships as well. So that is one big cultural differences. We made a video about Vietnamese words that you need to know. So you can click on the right-hand corner and you can watch that video as well to get more information. So these are some of the cultural differences between Vietnam and the U.S. However, if you're a businessman doing business in Vietnam, you definitely have to know what the business culture differences as well. Business decision making is quite different between the U.S. and Vietnam. In the United States, business decisions are more democratic and gets the input of all different levels of employees, from supervisors to colleagues to subordinates. So everybody is involved in the decision making. Therefore, employees are more engaged and more open to sharing the ideas. However, in Vietnam, as a hierarchical society, the decision is expected from the supervisor or the executives, and it comes down. So it's from top-down leadership, and whereby employees are not as empowered or confident in giving their advice and giving input. They just wait for the decision to be made and then execute them. That is one big decision-making difference between the U.S. individual society and Vietnam, a collective society. In the United States, jokes, anecdotes, and self-deprecation are used quite commonly in order to break the ice, to build rapport, and to have a little fun in a business environment, especially when they have happy hours after a business discussion. However, the jokes need to be sensitive, politically correct, and also not offensive to others, which is very difficult when people and jokes are very subjective. In contrast, in Vietnam, in the business setting, it's usually not common for people to make jokes or anecdotes or tell too much about their personal lives. And also, they don't actually make fun of themselves, because it could be seen as unprofessional or insensitive, especially if the joke is at somebody else's expense. So if you want to learn more about the different business cultures, click on the right-hand corner. We made a video about the Vietnamese business culture and differences that you need to consider. One's attitude towards failure is quite different between the U.S. and Vietnam. In the United States, children, adults, and entrepreneurs are encouraged to take risks, fail, and then get up again. So many times entrepreneurs will fail multiple enterprises and continue to fail, but then they will and may achieve success. So that is the cornerstone of the American education system, the American individualism, and the mindset that is put into the American people from childhood all the way to adults. One cornerstone of the American story and success of entrepreneurs is citing Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, who said, "I have not failed, but I found 10,000 ways that it will not work." That mindset is critically important for the American ideal and the American thinking of taking risks, failing, and then finding success. In stark contrast, in the Vietnamese culture, failure is considered a point of shame or embarrassment. So at a young age, kids will not take risks, and they are more risk adverse than the American adult. And this translates to companies as well, where employees are not willing to take risks or make innovative decisions or thoughts, because if they fail, then they will be shamed or put down by the supervisors. This may not be good for the Vietnamese society, because innovation and growth and taking risks are not instilled into the people and the culture. For example, this translates into the business world, where employees are not coming up with innovative ideas, or they have it but they're not comfortable telling it to the supervisors, because they want to make sure it's certainly going to succeed before they tell. Or They won't expand into international markets or other areas because it's not for certain. But then again, in business, nothing is certain. Also in sports as well, where kids are only doing what they're taught to do instead of finding different approaches or international strategies to improving their game, improving the sports. But in the last 9 years, or mostly in the last 5 years, I've seen that Vietnam has supported startup innovation, venture capital funds, and international funds. And of course, you even got the unicorns as well that we talked about. So therefore, I see the Vietnamese trend going towards being more risk-taking, more innovative, and willing to build startup companies at a younger age. So that's a big contrast between U.S. and Vietnam, but I see that Vietnam is definitely changing towards more risk-taking. So now that we've covered the cultural and business differences between the United States and Vietnam, it's definitely good to practice them and fully understand, and then also tweaking them as you live and work and do business between the United States and Vietnam. But as always, at Duong Global, we are here with our immigration experts to help you with your relocation journey to the United States, to Europe, or even if you want to go and live, work in Vietnam and you want to get your Vietnamese passport, we're here to help you. So don't be shy to contact us. So thank you very much for watching this video on the cultural differences between the US and Vietnam. But please comment below what other differences you see, because we can't cover everything in one video. So as always, on behalf of Duong Global, my name is Ken Duong. Thank you very much for watching this video, but make sure you like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell for notifications. So I'll see you on the next video.